The sun cast a relentless glare across the weathered wooden platform of the Yreka train depot in Northern California as Sophia Daniels stood alone, her trunk and two valises stacked neatly beside her. The year was 1876, and the promise of a new life had just evaporated like morning dew under the harsh summer heat. Her hands trembled as she reread the telegram, the one that had brought her all the way from Boston to this dusty outpost in Siskiyou County. My dearest Sophia, regret to inform you family circumstances changed. Unable to receive you as promised. Forgive us. The Lawrences. 3 sentences. That was all they had offered after encouraging her to journey across the continent to serve as governess for their children. 3 sentences to explain why they'd abandoned her at this remote depot without so much as a face-to-face apology. Sophia folded the telegram with careful precision and tucked it into her reticule, swallowing the lump forming in her throat. The station was nearly deserted now, the eastbound train having departed hours ago, taking with it her last connection to the world she knew. The station master had already given her pitying glances that made her stomach twist with humiliation. She wouldn't cry. Not here, not now. Madam? Depot's closing for the evening. The station master approached, hat in hand. You got somewhere to go? Sophia straightened her spine. Of course, she lied, the words catching slightly. I'm simply waiting for an associate. The lie bought her another hour as the sun began its descent behind the mountains. The town of Yreka stretched before her, its main street bustling with activity even as the day wound down. Mining had brought prosperity to this corner of California, but Sophia knew no one here. She had exactly $23.42 to her name, enough for perhaps a week at a modest boarding house before destitution would become her companion. As twilight settled over the mountains, Sophia finally allowed one tear to escape. She quickly wiped it away, annoyed at her own weakness. A sound made her turn, the steady rhythm of hoofbeats approaching the station. The rider came into view, silhouetted against the fading light. Broad-shouldered and tall in the saddle, he guided his chestnut gelding directly to the platform where she stood. As he dismounted, Sophia could see he was every inch the frontier man, from his worn leather boots to the weathered Stetson that shaded eyes as blue as a summer sky. Miss Daniels? His voice was deep, with a slight drawl that marked him as neither local nor Eastern. Sophia took an instinctive step backward. How do you know my name, sir? A smile softened his sun-weathered features. Station master sent word to town that a lady was stranded. Said her name was on her trunk. He gestured to her luggage where indeed her name was stenciled in black paint. I'm Reed Donovan. Own the Silver Creek Ranch about 10 miles west of town. I appreciate your concern, Mr. Donovan, but I'm quite fine. His eyes perceptive and kind assessed her situation in one glance. No disrespect intended, madam, but you don't look fine. You look like someone who's been left high and dry. The accuracy of his observation stung. Sophia clutched her reticule tighter. The family that engaged my services as a governess has experienced a change of circumstance. They left you at the depot without a word. It wasn't a question. They sent a telegram, she corrected, though the distinction hardly mattered now. Reed Donovan removed his hat, revealing thick dark hair that curled slightly at his temples. Miss Daniels, Yreka's a decent town, but it's no place for a lady alone at nightfall with nowhere to go. My sister runs a boarding house. Clean, respectable, and she'll have a room for you. Sophia hesitated. Everything she'd been taught warned against accepting help from strange men, but there was something trustworthy in his direct gaze. I can pay, she said firmly. Never doubted it for a minute. He replaced his hat and moved toward her luggage. May I? Before she could respond, he'd hoisted her trunk to his shoulder as if it weighed nothing at all. My wagon's just down the street. We'll get you settled proper. The decision made itself in that moment. What choice did she truly have? Thank you, Mr. Donovan. As they walked toward the main street, Reed said something that froze Sophia in her tracks. "You know, Miss Daniels, in a way, I think you've been waiting for me all along." She stared at him, appalled by his presumption. He smiled at her expression. "What I mean is, my sister's been advertising for a teacher for our town school for months. No one wants to come this far west. And here you are, a governess with nowhere to go. Providence, wouldn't you say?" Sophia wasn't sure if it was providence or merely desperation, but for the first time since arriving in Yreka, she felt a flutter of hope. The boarding house run by Reed Donovan was everything her brother had promised: clean, comfortable, and above all, respectable. A two-story white clapboard structure with green shutters and a welcoming porch, it stood as an outpost of civilization on Yreka's western edge. Rebecca herself was a pleasant surprise, a woman in her early 30s with the same striking blue eyes as her brother, though her hair was a lighter brown, streaked with gold. Her welcome was warm, but not effusive. "Brother, when you said you were bringing a stranded lady, I expected someone different." Her appraising glance took in Sophia's quality clothing and refined demeanor. "But you're most welcome, Miss Daniels. We've a lovely room at the back overlooking the garden." "Miss Daniels is a governess," Reed explained, setting down her trunk in the front parlor. "From Boston. A governess." Rebecca's eyes lit up. "Then you must be educated. Can you teach?" "I attended the Winthrop Academy for Young Ladies in Massachusetts," Sophia replied. "I've taught children from ages 5 to 17. The siblings exchanged meaningful glances. "Our schoolteacher left 3 months ago," Rebecca explained. "Married a man from Sacramento and left us high and dry. The children are running wild, and the town council is desperate." I hadn't considered a formal teaching position," Sophia said carefully. "It pays $35 a month, plus room and board right here," Reed added. "School term runs 9 months of the year." It was more than she had made as a governess, and the security of 9 months' employment was tempting. "I would need to meet with the town council first," Sophia said cautiously. "And I have no teaching credentials for California." Reed waved a hand dismissively. "Out here, an education and willingness are credentials enough. Council meets tomorrow afternoon. I'll take you." "For now," Rebecca interjected, "let's get you settled. You must be exhausted after your journey. The room rate is $1 per night, meals included." "Thank you." Sophia reached for her reticule to pay a deposit. "We can settle accounts later," Rebecca insisted. "Any friend of Reed's is welcome here." "We're not friends," Sophia corrected quickly. "Mr. Donovan kindly offered assistance when I found myself stranded." Reed's smile was slow and knowing. "Not friends yet, Miss Daniels. But I've got a feeling that might change." His confidence should have irritated her, but instead, Sophia found herself fighting a smile of her own. "You presume much, Mr. Donovan." "Reed has that habit," his sister commented dryly. "Now come along. I'll show you to your room while my presumptuous brother sees to your luggage." The room was small but charming, with a window that looked out over a kitchen garden where herbs and vegetables grew in neat rows. A narrow bed with a patchwork quilt stood against one wall, with a washstand and mirror opposite. A small writing desk completed the furnishings. "It's lovely," Sophia said sincerely. "It's not Boston," Rebecca replied, lighting the lamp as twilight deepened. "But it's home." Boston wasn't truly home either, Sophia admitted, surprising herself with her candor. "Not since my parents died." Rebecca's expression softened. "Then perhaps Yreka might become home for you." After Rebecca left, Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, overwhelmed by the day's events. Had it really been only this morning that she'd stepped off the train, full of anticipation for her new position? And now here she was, considering becoming a schoolteacher in a frontier town. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Reed Donovan stood there, hat in hand. "Miss Daniels, I wanted to check that you have everything you need before I head back to my ranch." You've been more than kind, Mr. Donovan. He shook his head. Just doing what anyone would. We both know that's not true. Sophia met his gaze directly. Most would have left me to my own devices. Then most have forgotten what it means to be civilized. He hesitated, then added, I'll return tomorrow at 1 o'clock to escort you to the town council meeting. Unless you'd rather not pursue the teaching position? Sophia considered carefully. No, I think I would like to meet with them. Teaching has always been my passion, though I never thought to do it in a formal schoolhouse setting. The children here need someone like you. His voice had softened. Someone who sees possibility where others might only see a dusty mining town. Their eyes met, and Sophia felt an unexpected connection, as if he understood something essential about her that she never articulated aloud. Until tomorrow then, Mr. Donovan. Reed, he corrected. Out here, formality doesn't last long. Sophia, she offered in return, the name feeling strange on her lips as an introduction. In Boston, such familiarity would have been scandalous after such a brief acquaintance. But this wasn't Boston, and Reed Donovan wasn't like any man she had ever met. The town council of Yreka convened in a room above the Mercantile the following afternoon. 5 men sat at a long table, their expressions ranging from skepticism to desperate hope as Reed introduced Sophia. Gentlemen, this is Miss Sophia Daniels of Boston. She's educated at the Winthrop Academy and has experience teaching children of all ages. Judge William Porter, a stout man with impressive whiskers, peered at her over wire-rimmed spectacles. Miss Daniels, we're grateful for your interest, but teaching in Yreka is no easy task. The children are spirited. Children are children everywhere, Judge Porter, Sophia replied calmly. They require structure, engagement, and respect. Can you handle discipline? This from a lean, hard-faced man introduced as Mr. Harrison, who owned the largest mining operation in the area. The last teacher let the boys run roughshod over her. I believe in firm but fair discipline, sir. Children thrive with clear boundaries. The questioning continued for nearly an hour. They asked about her teaching methods, her knowledge of subjects from arithmetic to literature, and her ability to manage a classroom with students ranging from 6 to 16 years of age. And what about your situation? Mr. Harrison finally asked. We understand you were to be employed as a governess, but the family reneged. How do we know you won't leave as soon as a better opportunity arises? The question stung, but Sophia maintained her composure. Sir, I believe in honoring commitments. If I accept this position, I will see the school term through to its conclusion. After that, we can all decide if the arrangement suits. Judge Porter nodded approvingly. Well said, Miss Daniels. Reed, who had remained silent throughout, finally spoke. Gentlemen, it's nearly harvest time. School should have started weeks ago. Miss Daniels is qualified, willing, and here. I move we offer her the position immediately. Seconded, said the town doctor, a younger man named Phillips. The vote was unanimous. Sophia would begin teaching the following Monday, with the weekend to prepare and review the school's resources. As they left the Mercantile, Sophia felt a curious mixture of excitement and terror. I've never taught in a proper school before, she admitted to Reed. What if I fail? Reed stopped walking and turned to face her. You won't fail, Sophia. You know why. Why? Because you care enough to worry about failing. His eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled. Now, let me show you the schoolhouse. The one-room schoolhouse sat on the edge of town, a simple wooden structure with a small bell tower. Inside, rows of desks faced a larger desk and blackboard. Bookshelves lined one wall, though they were sparsely filled. It's not much, Reed admitted, watching Sophia's face. It's perfect. She ran her fingers along the edge of the teacher's desk. A blank canvas. Reed leaned against the doorframe, studying her. You really mean that, don't you? I do. Sophia turned to him. Mr. Donovan Reed, why are you helping me? Truly. He considered her question seriously. When I first saw you at that depot, standing so straight and proud despite being abandoned, it struck me that you had courage. Yreka needs people with courage. People willing to build something lasting. And you think I'm one of those people? You don't even know me. I'm a good judge of character, he said simply. Had to be, to survive out here. There was something in his tone that suggested depths of experience beyond what his years might indicate. Reed Donovan couldn't be much past 30, yet he spoke with the wisdom of someone who had seen both the best and worst of humanity. What brought you to Yreka? She asked. A shadow crossed his face. War. Like many others. After Appomattox, I couldn't go back to Tennessee. Too many ghosts. He straightened. But that's a story for another day. Right now, I should get you back to Rebecca's. You've got a school to prepare for. The next few days passed in a whirlwind of activity. Word spread quickly through Yreka that the school would reopen, and parents began appearing at Rebecca's boarding house to introduce themselves and their children to the new teacher. By Sunday evening, Sophia had met most of her prospective students and their families. She had organized the school books, cleaned the schoolhouse with Rebecca's help, and created a teaching plan for the coming weeks. You've accomplished wonders, Rebecca commented as they shared a cup of tea on the boarding house porch. The whole town is talking about the new schoolteacher. I only hope I can live up to their expectations, Sophia replied. Rebecca smiled. Reed believes you will. And my brother doesn't give his confidence easily. He's been very kind. Kind, yes. But there's more to it. Rebecca studied her over the rim of her teacup. My brother hasn't shown this much interest in anyone since he came west. Sophia felt heat rise to her cheeks. I'm sure he's simply being neighborly. Rebecca's laugh was gentle. Sophia, Reed rode 15 miles out of his way to check on the depot when he heard a lady was stranded. That's more than neighborly. Before Sophia could respond, the man himself appeared at the gate, leading his horse. He'd exchanged his working clothes for a clean shirt and vest, and his dark hair was still damp from washing. Evening, ladies, he called, tying his horse to the hitching post. Thought I'd stop by to wish our new teacher luck for tomorrow. Rebecca rose with a knowing smile. I just remembered some mending that needs attention. Excuse me. As she disappeared inside, Reed took the vacant chair beside Sophia. Nervous about tomorrow? Terrified, she admitted. But excited too. You'll do fine. He reached into his saddlebag and pulled out a small package wrapped in brown paper. Brought you something. Sophia unwrapped it carefully to find a brass bell with a wooden handle. For the school, she breathed, running her fingers over the polished surface. The old one cracked last winter. Ordered this from Sacramento months ago for the new teacher, but it just arrived yesterday. It's beautiful. Thank you. Their fingers brushed as she took the bell, and Sophia felt that same unexpected connection she'd experienced the first night. There was something about Reed Donovan that resonated with her in ways she couldn't articulate. I should go, he said after a moment, standing reluctantly. Got to be up before dawn tomorrow. Will I see you? Soon. The question slipped out before she could reconsider. His smile was warm. Count on it, Sophia Daniels. As he rode away, Sophia realized she was looking forward to more than just her first day of teaching. Monday morning dawned clear and cool as Sophia rang the new school bell for the first time. Children appeared from every direction, some running eagerly, others dragging their feet. By 8 o'clock, 27 students ranging in age from 6 to 16 had filled the schoolhouse. Good morning, Sophia said, standing tall behind her desk. I am Miss Daniels, and I will be your teacher. A boy of about 12 snickered in the back row. Until you get married, and leave like Miss Peterson did. Several children giggled. Sophia fixed the boy with a steady gaze. Your name, please? Thomas Harrison, he replied with a smirk that suggested his father's position as mine owner made him untouchable. Well, Mr. Harrison, since you're so eager to speak, perhaps you'd like to come forward and recite the multiplication tables for the class? The boy's smirk faded. I don't know them all. Then, that will be our first lesson. Everyone, please take out your slates. Sophia turned to the blackboard. We'll begin with the basics and see what you remember from last term. By midday, Sophia had assessed that while some students were reasonably advanced, others had significant gaps in their education. The older boys were the most resistant, clearly used to intimidating their previous teacher. At the lunch break, as the children ate in the schoolyard, 16-year-old James, Porter the judge's son, and the oldest student approached her desk. Miss Daniels, Pa says I don't need more schooling. Says I should be apprenticed to the law. Sophia studied the tall, serious boy. Do you want to study law, James? He hesitated. I like reading. And figures. But law seems confining. What would you prefer to study? No teacher had ever asked him that before. She could see it in his startled expression. Engineering, he finally said. I want to build things. Then perhaps we should include some advanced mathematics and physics in your studies. Sophia smiled. The West needs builders as much as it needs lawyers. The afternoon went more smoothly. By dismissal time, Sophia had established herself as firm but fair, willing to meet each child at their level while challenging them to improve. As the last student left, Sophia sank into her chair, exhausted but exhilarated. She had done it, survived her first day as a proper schoolteacher. Miss Daniels? A small voice came from the doorway. 6-year-old Lucy Phillips, the doctor's daughter, stood clutching a bunch of wildflowers. These are for you. Thank you, Lucy. Sophia accepted the flowers with genuine pleasure. They're beautiful. Pa says you're going to make our school special. The little girl smiled shyly. I think so too. After Lucy left, Sophia placed the flowers in a jar of water on her desk, touched by the simple gesture. Perhaps she could make a difference here after all. The weeks that followed fell into a pleasant rhythm. Mornings and afternoons at the schoolhouse, evenings grading papers and preparing lessons at Rebecca's boarding house. On Saturdays, Sophia explored Yreka, gradually getting to know the townspeople beyond her students' families. Reed Donovan made a point of visiting town at least twice a week, often stopping by the schoolhouse after dismissal or calling at the boarding house in the evening. His visits were brief but meaningful, and Sophia found herself looking forward to them more than she cared to admit. One Friday in late October, Reed arrived at the schoolhouse just as Sophia was locking up. Good timing, Mr. Donovan, she smiled. In public, they maintained a formal address, though in private conversations they used first names now. Always aim to be punctual, Miss Daniels. He tipped his hat. I was hoping to speak with you about something important. Her heart skipped inexplicably. Of course. The Harvest Festival is next Saturday. It's the biggest celebration in Yreka until Christmas. He shifted his weight slightly, betraying a rare nervousness. I was wondering if you'd allow me to escort you. As friends? Sophia asked carefully. Reed met her gaze directly. As more than friends, if you're amenable. The proper response would be to demur, to insist on more time to consider, but Sophia found she didn't want to pretend. I would like that very much. His smile was brilliant. I'll call for you at 4. The dancing starts at sunset. Dancing. Sophia hadn't danced since before her parents died. I look forward to it. As Reed mounted his horse, he looked back at her with an expression that made her breath catch. You know, Sophia, every time I see you teaching those children, watching them bloom under your care, I become more convinced. Of what? That you've been waiting for me for this place all along. With a tip of his hat, he rode off, leaving Sophia to ponder his words. Had she been waiting for Reed Donovan without knowing it? For this frontier town that was starting to feel like home? The Boston society where she'd grown up seemed increasingly distant, its rigid customs and shallow concerns foreign to the life she was building here. The night of the harvest festival arrived with perfect autumn weather, cool but not cold, with a sky full of stars appearing as twilight descended. Rebecca had helped Sophia refashion one of her Boston dresses, removing the bustle and some of the more elaborate trim to create something more suitable for a country dance. "You look lovely," Rebecca said as Sophia descended the stairs. "That blue brings out your eyes. Is it appropriate?" Sophia smoothed the skirt nervously. "I don't want to appear too formal." "It's perfect," Rebecca assured her. "Simple enough for Yreka, but fine enough to show you respect the occasion." Reed arrived precisely at 4, wearing a clean black suit that made him look both handsome and slightly uncomfortable. His eyes widened appreciably when he saw Sophia. "You are a vision," he said simply. The festival was held in the town square, which had been transformed with lanterns, hay bales for seating, and tables laden with food contributed by every family in the area. Children ran laughing between the stalls where games and contests were set up, while adults gathered in groups to share news and gossip. Reed proudly introduced Sophia to those she hadn't yet met, including several ranchers from outlying areas who rarely came to town. Everyone was welcoming, though Sophia noticed a few speculative glances at Reed's protective hand at her elbow. "People are talking," she murmured as they moved away from one such group. "Let them," Reed replied. "I'm proud to have you on my arm." As the sun set, a small band struck up a lively tune. Reed extended his hand. "May I have this dance, Miss Daniels?" Sophia placed her hand in his. "I'd be delighted, Mr. Donovan." The first dance was a Virginia reel that had everyone laughing as they switched partners and twirled. When it ended, the band shifted to a waltz. Reed drew Sophia closer, his hand warm and steady at her waist. "You dance beautifully," she commented, surprised at his grace. "My mother insisted all her children learn. Said civilization might be scarce out west, but that was no excuse for being uncivilized." His eyes crinkled with the memory. "She'd have liked you. Would she?" Sophia found herself genuinely curious about his family. "Tell me about her." As they danced, Reed spoke of his childhood in Tennessee, of a mother who valued education, and a father who taught him about working the land. Of 3 sisters besides Rebecca, all now married and scattered across different states. Of dreams deferred by war and gradually rebuilt in this new place. "And what of your family?" he asked as the waltz ended. Sophia told him of her privileged upbringing in Boston, of parents who encouraged her intellectual curiosity even when society deemed it inappropriate for a young lady, of their deaths from influenza when she was 18, leaving her with a good education but little money, as her father's investments had soured in his final years. "I became a governess because it was respectable work for an educated woman without fortune," she explained as they walked toward the refreshment table. "I never imagined I'd end up teaching in a one-room schoolhouse in California. Do you regret it?" Reed's question was gentle but direct. "Not for a moment," Sophia replied truthfully. "I've found more purpose here in 2 months than in 5 years of teaching privileged children who saw me as little more than a servant." Their conversation was interrupted by Mr. Harrison, who approached with a stormy expression. "Miss Daniels, a word." His tone made it clear this wasn't a request. "My son Thomas tells me you've been humiliating him in class, making him recite lessons he hasn't mastered in front of younger children." Sophia straightened her spine. "Mr. Harrison, I treat all students equally. Thomas must participate in lessons like everyone else." "My boy isn't everyone else. The Harrisons built this town." He leaned closer. "Perhaps you should remember that your position here depends on the goodwill of the council." Reed stepped forward, his relaxed demeanor replaced by something harder. "And perhaps you should remember that the council votes as a body, Harrison." "Sophia is the finest teacher this town has ever had. Stay out of this, Donovan. This is between me and the schoolmarm." "The schoolmarm has a name," Sophia interjected, her voice calm despite her racing heart. "And I stand by my teaching methods." Thomas is bright but lazy. He could excel if he applied himself. Harrison's face reddened. You'll regret this insolence. He stalked away, leaving an uncomfortable silence in his wake. I apologize for that, Reed said quietly. Harrison's used to getting his way. You have nothing to apologize for. Sophia touched his arm lightly. But I hope I haven't compromised my position. You haven't. The other council members have seen how you've transformed the school. Harrison's just one vote. The incident cast a temporary shadow over the evening, but as more people approached to praise Sophia's work with the children, her spirits lifted. By the time the final dance was announced, she had nearly forgotten Harrison's threats. Reed drew her into his arms for the last waltz. Despite Harrison's interruption, I hope you've enjoyed tonight. I've enjoyed every minute, Sophia replied truthfully. Especially the company. His arms tightened slightly around her waist. Sophia, I know you've only been in Yreka a short time, but I find myself thinking of you constantly. Her heart beat faster at his words. Reed, you don't have to say anything now, he interrupted gently. I just wanted you to know that my intentions are serious. I'd like to court you properly, if you're willing. Sophia had received proposals before measured, practical offers from suitable men in Boston who saw her as an appropriate wife. None had made her pulse race like this simple request. I would like that very much, she said softly. The smile that illuminated his face was worth any amount of gossip their announcement might generate. As the music ended, Reed kept hold of her hand, and they walked together under the starlit sky, both aware that something significant had shifted between them. November brought cooler weather and the first hints of the harsh winter to come. Sophia's school continued to thrive, with even Thomas Harrison showing improvement after a private conversation where she appealed to his pride rather than threatening punishment. Reed called at the boarding house every Sunday after church, sometimes taking Sophia for drives in his buggy along the scenic roads around Yreka, other times simply sitting with her on Rebecca's porch, talking for hours about everything and nothing. They discovered a shared love of literature, a similar sense of humor, and complementary views on most important matters. Where they differed, Reed was more pragmatic, Sophia more idealistic. Their debates were spirited but respectful. You've changed since Reed started calling, Rebecca commented one evening as she and Sophia washed dishes. You've always been lovely, but now you glow. Sophia felt her cheeks warm. Is it that obvious? Only to everyone with eyes, Rebecca teased. My brother is equally transformed. I haven't seen him this happy since before the war. The day before Thanksgiving, Reed arrived at the schoolhouse with an invitation. I'd like you to join me at Silver Creek Ranch for the holiday, he said. Rebecca's coming too, and a few neighbors. Nothing formal. Sophia hesitated. Visiting his home seemed a significant step. Are you certain it's appropriate? Rebecca will be there as chaperone, he pointed out. And I want you to see the place. It's important to me. The sincerity in his voice decided her. Then I accept with pleasure. Silver Creek Ranch exceeded Sophia's expectations. The main house was a substantial two-story structure built of stone and timber, with a wide porch wrapping around three sides. Inside, the rooms were spacious and well-furnished, blending frontier practicality with unexpected touches of refinement. Reed built most of this himself, Rebecca explained as she showed Sophia to a guest room. Started with a one-room cabin when he first claimed the land after the war. Every year, he added more. It's beautiful, Sophia said, genuinely impressed. I had no idea. My brother doesn't boast about his accomplishments. But Silver Creek is one of the most prosperous ranches in the county now. Rebecca smiled. He's built a good life here. A life that could accommodate a wife and family. The hint was unmistakable, but before Sophia could respond, Reed called from downstairs that other guests were arriving. Thanksgiving dinner was a joyous affair, with Reed at the head of the table carving a magnificent turkey. Besides Sophia and Rebecca, There were the Phillips family, Judge Porter and his son James, and 2 neighboring ranchers with their wives. "Miss Daniels, you've worked miracles with my James," Judge Porter declared as they enjoyed pumpkin pie after the meal. "He's talking about college, now engineering school back east." "James is exceptionally bright," Sophia replied. "He simply needed encouragement in the right direction." "Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up." The judge raised his glass. "To Miss Daniels, who's brought learning and culture back to our humble town." Everyone drank to the toast, and Sophia felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the crackling fire in the hearth. These people had become her friends, her community, in just a few short months. After dinner, while the others gathered in the parlor for music and conversation, Reed invited Sophia to see the rest of the property. "It's too cold to tour the whole ranch," he said, helping her with her coat, "but I'd like to show you the new stable at least." The stable was impressive clean, well built, with stalls for 20 horses. Reed clearly took pride in his animals, speaking affectionately about each one as they walked through. "And this," he said, stopping before a beautiful Palomino mare, "is Sunshine. I've been training her specially. She's exquisite." Sophia reached out to stroke the horse's velvet nose. "For breeding?"
"No."
Reed looked suddenly nervous. "For you, actually. If you'd like her." Sophia stared at him in shock. "Reed, I couldn't possibly. I've noticed how you watch Rebecca's mare when we go riding," he explained quickly. "Thought you might enjoy having a mount of your own. Sunshine's gentle but spirited. Like someone else I know." His eyes held hers meaningfully. "It's too extravagant a gift," Sophia protested, even as her heart leaped at the gesture. "Consider it a long-term loan then." Reed took her gloved hand in his. "Sophia, I want you to feel at home here. At Silver Creek. With me." The implication was clear. This wasn't just about a horse, it was about a future. Their future. "Reed," she began, uncertain what to say. He seemed to sense her hesitation. "Too soon? I'm rushing things." "No," she said quickly. "Not too soon. Just unexpected. In the best possible way." Relief flooded his features. "So, you'll accept Sunshine?" "As a loan," she agreed. "And I would very much like to learn more about feeling at home here." His smile was radiant. "I'll teach you everything you need to know." As they returned to the house, walking close together through the frosty evening, Sophia reflected on how drastically her life had changed since that lonely afternoon at the Yreka depot. From abandonment to belonging in just a few months, it seemed almost miraculous. The first snow fell in early December, transforming Yreka into a winter wonderland. School continued despite the weather, with children arriving bundled in coats, scarves, and mittens, their cheeks rosy from the cold. Preparations for Christmas occupied every spare moment. The schoolchildren rehearsed a program of recitations and songs to perform for the town, while Sophia helped Rebecca decorate the boarding house with evergreen boughs and red ribbons. Reed visited less frequently as winter deepened, the journey from Silver Creek made difficult by snow and ice. But when he did come to town, he made the most of their time together. 2 weeks before Christmas, he arrived at the boarding house with his sleigh instead of the usual buggy. "Bundle up," he called to Sophia. "I've something special to show you." The sleigh ride was magical, bells jingling as they glided over snow-covered roads. Reed guided the horses away from town, following Silver Creek upstream into the foothills. "Where are we going?" Sophia asked, snug beneath thick buffalo robes. "A place I found years ago," Reed replied mysteriously. "It's especially beautiful in winter." After about an hour, they crested a small hill to find a frozen waterfall cascading in crystalline stillness over a rocky cliff. The setting sun transformed the ice into a glittering spectacle of gold and amber. "Oh, Reed," Sophia breathed. "It's magnificent. I thought you'd appreciate it." He set the brake on the sleigh and turned to face her. "Sophia, there's something I need to say." Her heart quickened at his serious tone. Yes? Reed took both her hands in his. When I first saw you at that depot so alone, so brave, I knew you were special. These past months have only confirmed what my heart recognized immediately. Reed, please let me finish while my courage holds. He smiled nervously. Sophia Daniels, I love you. Completely and without reservation. I can't imagine my life without you in it. Tears pricked at Sophia's eyes. I love you too. I think I have since that first day. Relief and joy transformed his features. Then would you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife? Yes, she said without hesitation. Yes, with all my heart. Reed pulled a small velvet box from his coat pocket. Inside was a ring of sapphires surrounded by tiny diamonds. It was my grandmother's, he explained as he slipped it onto her finger. Rebecca kept it safe for me, waiting for the right woman. It's beautiful. Sophia admired how the blue stone caught the fading light. Reed, are you certain? I came here with nothing. You came with everything that matters. He cupped her face gently. Your intelligence, your kindness, your courage. You've brought light back into my life, Sophia. There's nothing I'm more certain of than wanting you as my wife. Their kiss, sweet and tender in the golden light of sunset, sealed the promise between them. The news of their engagement spread quickly through Yreka. Most reactions were enthusiastic. Reed was respected throughout the county, and Sophia had earned the town's affection through her dedication to the children. Only Silas Harrison remained openly disapproving. Barely knows the woman. He was overheard muttering at the mercantile. She'll be gone by spring, mark my words. These Eastern ladies can't handle frontier life. But his was a minority opinion. The town embraced the romance, especially when it was announced that the wedding would take place on New Year's Day. A new beginning for a new year, Rebecca approved. And I'll finally have the sister I've always wanted. Christmas came and went in a flurry of celebrations. The school program was a tremendous success, with even the most reluctant students performing their parts perfectly. Afterward, Sophia received so many small gifts from her pupils that she needed Reed's help to carry them all back to the boarding house. They adore you, he said as they sorted through hand-carved wooden ornaments, embroidered handkerchiefs, and jars of preserves. As do I. Sophia touched a crude but heartfelt drawing from 6-year-old Lucy Phillips, showing a stick figure labeled Miss Daniels surrounded by smiling children. I've found my purpose here. With them. With you. The week between Christmas and New Year's passed in a blur of wedding preparations. Sophia wore her best dress from Boston cream-colored silk with pearl buttons that Rebecca altered to the latest fashion. Reed's gift of a lace veil and kid leather boots completed her ensemble. New Year's Day 1877 dawned clear and cold, the world outside frosted with diamond-like snow. The church was filled to capacity as Judge Porter performed the ceremony, his judicial authority allowing him to officiate. Do you, Reed Donovan, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? The judge asked solemnly. Reed's eyes never left Sophia's face. I do. And do you, Sophia Daniels, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. Her voice rang clear and certain. Then, by the authority vested in me by the state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Judge Porter smiled broadly. You may kiss your bride, Reed. The kiss was brief but tender, mindful of the crowded church. As they turned to face the congregation as Mr. and Mrs. Donovan, Sophia felt a profound sense of rightness. This was where she belonged. The celebration afterward at the town hall lasted well into the evening. There was dancing and feasting, toasts and well wishes from everyone except the conspicuously absent Harrison family. As twilight descended, Reed led Sophia to the waiting sleigh, now decorated with evergreen boughs and ribbons. They would spend their wedding night at Silver Creek Ranch, their home from this day forward. Happy, Mrs. Donovan? Reed asked as they glided through the snowy landscape. Completely, Mr. Donovan. Sophia leaned her head against his shoulder. Though I'll need to get used to my new name. You have a lifetime to practice, he promised, gathering her closer. Their first months of marriage passed in blissful harmony. Sophia continued teaching, driving herself to and from school with sunshine hitched to a small buggy Reed had given her as a wedding gift. Evenings and weekends were spent at Silver Creek, where she gradually transformed the well-built but masculine house into a true home. Spring arrived with an explosion of wildflowers across the meadows and the birth of new calves and foals at the ranch. Sophia discovered she had a knack for ranch life, learning quickly from Reed and the hands who worked the property. You're a natural, Reed commented one evening as they sat on the porch watching the sunset. Most city women would struggle with this life. I'm not most women, Sophia reminded him with a smile. And I had an excellent teacher. That you did, Mrs. Donovan. He pulled her into his lap, his kiss more passionate now that they were alone. And I find I'm increasingly distracted by my star pupil. Later that night, as they lay entwined in their bedroom, Sophia shared the news she'd been confirming for days. Reed, I'm going to have a baby. His expression of wonder and joy was everything she could have hoped for. A baby? You're certain? Dr. Phillips confirmed it yesterday. We should welcome our child in late November. Reed gathered her close, his hand gently resting over her still, flat stomach. Thank you, he whispered against her hair. For this. For everything. The news of Sophia's pregnancy added another layer of happiness to their already joyful life. Reed became even more protective, insisting on driving her to school himself during the final months despite her protests that she was perfectly capable. Humor me, he said simply. I need to know you're safe. As her pregnancy progressed, Sophia made arrangements for a substitute teacher to finish the spring term. Mrs. Carter, a widow with previous teaching experience, was grateful for the temporary position. I'll return after Christmas, Sophia assured the disappointed students on her last day. And I'll bring a new little Donovan to meet you all. Summer passed peacefully at Silver Creek. Sophia's body changed with her advancing pregnancy, but she remained active, helping with the lighter household tasks and keeping the ranch accounts with meticulous precision. You've doubled our efficiency, Reed marveled, reviewing her orderly ledgers. I should have married a schoolteacher years ago. You weren't ready for me years ago, Sophia teased. And I wasn't ready for you. But when the time was right, Reed said more seriously, Providence brought you to that depot. Where they left me without a word, Sophia added, remembering the crushing disappointment of that day. And where I found you. Reed kissed her gently. You've been waiting for me all along, Sophia. You just didn't know it. In November, as the first snow threatened, Sophia went into labor. Rebecca came to stay at the ranch, while Reed rode through the night to fetch Dr. Phillips. After 14 hours of labor, Sophia delivered a healthy son. Reed, who had paced anxiously outside the bedroom door through her ordeal, was finally allowed inside to meet his child. He's perfect, he whispered, cradling the tiny bundle with tears streaming unashamedly down his face. What shall we call him? Sophia, exhausted but radiant, touched the baby's downy head. I thought perhaps William Reed Donovan. After your father and you. William. Reed tested the name. It suits him. The first year of William's life brought new joys and challenges. Sophia discovered that motherhood, wonderful as it was, tested her strength and patience in ways teaching never had. The baby was colicky for the first 3 months, requiring constant attention through long nights. Reed proved to be an involved father, often taking William from Sophia's tired arms in the evening so she could rest. He walked the floors with his son, singing old Tennessee lullabies in a surprisingly melodic baritone. By the following Christmas, Sophia had returned to teaching part-time, with Rebecca happily caring for William 3 days a week. The arrangement satisfied Sophia's need for intellectual engagement while allowing her ample time with her growing son. "I have the best of both worlds," she told Reed as they decorated their Christmas tree, William watching wide-eyed from his blanket on the floor. "A career I love and a family I adore." "You deserve nothing less," Reed replied, hanging the star at the top of the tree. "Though I confess, I'm hoping to expand that family before too long." Sophia smiled enigmatically. "Perhaps sooner than you think." Reed's expression of delighted surprise was everything she'd hoped for. "Truly?" Dr. Phillips says June or early July. Their second child, a daughter named Elizabeth Rebecca, arrived on a perfect summer morning in 1879. Where William had his father's dark hair and sturdy build, Elizabeth was fair like Sophia, with eyes that shifted from newborn blue to a clear gray as she grew. "She has your determination," Reed commented as the infant stubbornly refused to nap one afternoon. "Heaven help us when she's older." "We'll need heaven's help with both of them," Sophia replied, watching 3-year-old William attempting to climb the bookshelf. "Reed, catch him." The years that followed brought both expected and unexpected developments. Silver Creek Ranch prospered under Reed's management and Sophia's careful accounting. The school in Yreka grew until the town council approved funds for a second teacher, allowing Sophia to focus on the older students while maintaining her family responsibilities. William grew into a thoughtful boy with his father's love of the land and his mother's love of books. Elizabeth became a spirited young lady whose intelligence was matched only by her strong will, a quality that alternately delighted and exasperated her parents. In 1882, Sophia gave birth to their third child, another son they named James Thomas. Unlike his robust siblings, James was delicate from birth, causing many anxious nights as he fought through one childhood illness after another. "He's a fighter," Dr. Phillips assured them during a particularly worrying bout of pneumonia when James was 4. Smaller than his brother was, but with twice the determination. The doctor proved right. Though James never developed the physical strength of William, his keen mind and gentle spirit made him beloved by everyone who knew him. As the children grew, Silver Creek expanded. Reed added more land, built a larger barn, and eventually constructed a separate schoolhouse on the property where Sophia taught not only their children, but those of neighboring ranchers too far from town for daily attendance. "You've created something remarkable here," Judge Porter commented during a Sunday visit when the children were young teenagers. "A true legacy." Reed, watching Sophia organize the children for a recitation, smiled contentedly. "I found the missing piece that day at the depot." Everything else followed naturally. Silas Harrison, who had remained skeptical of their marriage for years, finally conceded defeat on the 10th anniversary of their wedding. He appeared at Silver Creek with a piece offering a fine yearling colt from his prize stock. "Seems I misjudged you, Mrs. Donovan," he admitted gruffly. "And your influence on this county has been significant." Sophia accepted both the gift and the apology with grace. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Your grandchildren have been among my finest students." The mention of his grandchildren, 3 of whom attended Sophia's school, softened the old man's expression. "They speak highly of you. All of them." Life wasn't without challenges. The harsh winter of 1887 brought devastating losses to their cattle herd. Elizabeth's rebellion at 16 tested both parents' patience. James's recurring health problems required a costly trip to San Francisco for specialized treatment. But through it all, the foundation Reed and Sophia had built remained strong. Their partnership, begun that fateful day at the Yreka depot, weathered every storm. On their 20th wedding anniversary, Reed surprised Sophia with a journey back east, her first return to Boston since leaving as a young woman. "I want to see where you began," he explained. "The places that shaped you before me." The city had changed dramatically, modernizing in ways that made Sophia feel like a visitor rather than a returning native. Her parents' graves received fresh flowers, and a few distant relatives welcomed them cordially, but Boston no longer felt like home. "I'm ready to go back," she told Reed after a week. "Back to Silver Creek. To our real life." Reed studied her face. "No regrets about the path not taken?" "None," she said firmly. "Everything I've ever truly wanted, I found after they left me at that depot." His smile was tender. "When I said you've been waiting for me all along, I meant it. Some things are simply meant to be, however unlikely they seem." "And we were meant to be," Sophia agreed, taking his hand. "For this life and whatever comes after." In the spring of 1897, with all three children grown and building lives of their own, William running the expanded ranch operations, Elizabeth teaching at a women's college in Sacramento, and James studying medicine in San Francisco, Reed and Sophia sat on their porch, watching another spectacular California sunset. 21 years since I found you at that depot," Reed mused, his hair now silver at the temples, but his blue eyes as bright as ever. "The best decision I ever made was riding into town that day." "The best decision I ever made was trusting you," Sophia replied, leaning her head against his shoulder. At 49, her beauty had matured rather than faded, the lines around her eyes speaking of laughter and wisdom gained. "Do you remember what I said to you that first day?" Reed asked, drawing her closer. Sophia smiled, the memory vivid despite the passing years. "You said I'd been waiting for you all along. And was I right? In ways neither of us could have imagined." She turned to face the man who had transformed abandonment into belonging, loneliness into love. "I had been waiting for you, Reed Donovan. I just didn't know it until you found me." Their kiss, tender with the love of 2 decades shared, was as sweet as their first beneath the frozen waterfall. As twilight deepened into night over Silver Creek Ranch, Sophia reflected that sometimes life's greatest disappointments, like being left at a depot without a word, could lead to its greatest joys. And that was a lesson worth waiting for.